Alright, so check this out, right? I've been looking into how y'all know we got this eclipse coming up on the 8th. And I've been looking at how I can use this for my advantage, right? And I gotta look at it from an occultic perspective and a esoteric and an astrology perspective, right? So if you look at astrology, you understand that we having a solar eclipse, right? So if you look at it, you understand that the sun is going to be covered up by the moon, which means the conscious mind is going to be covered up by the moon, by the subconscious mind. So the conscious mind is represented by the sun, the subconscious mind is represented by the moon. So if you understand everything about doing your spiritual work is actually tapping into and going deep inside of the subconscious and reprogramming the subconscious mind, right? So you want to use different techniques to be able to penetrate the subconscious mind, because at this point it's coming to the forefront for however many minutes this solar eclipse lasts, right? So, and the best way that I feel that you can actually use it, and I've hit up with an astrology friend because I'm not that good at astrology, right? That's not my stronghold. And she was like, well, when dealing with astrology, dealing with eclipse, it's not the time to try to manifest anything, because the moon, when it comes to the front, actually severs or takes away. I'm like, okay, perfect, right? Because what I've been working on recently is what they call the practice of Taoist shooting, right? And Taoist shooting is all about purifying the elements. When I say purifying the elements, digging down to the most subtle parts of your egotistical, not egotistical, but yeah, egotistical, not in the sense of like I think I'm better, right? But in the sense of ego as far as self-identifying. That's how they break it down. Self-identify. I identify as this. I identify as that. I like this and I don't like that. That's the human nature, ego, right? So you want to get down to purifying that, to actually removing those blockages that has from you elevating. Because the point is about elevating, right? So if we're trying to elevate, we need to tap in with these practices, and of course, meditation, right? And we were already taught what my teacher taught us, that is trauma repetitions and symbols is how you program a mind, or how you put a mind under mind control. So that's also how you're going to tap into the subconscious mind. So we can use certain symbols, right? We can use certain symbols that they give us, of what they call tattvas. Tattvas are the elementals that rule the human in this plane of in this, at least this level of the microcosm, right? So if we want to tap into and purify these tattvas, I got more videos and there's more information on it about tattvas where you can learn. This is a new thing to me, and I'm just sharing my journey as I go and what I think would be beneficial. So what you actually want to do is get to, like, what rules this whole universe. Vibrations, right? Sound, right? We already talking about the mind, so we use sound. And what I found is what they call bija mantras. And bija means seed, 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 and which actually basically means like the seed, like planting a seed. Like in the Bible, if people want to use the Bible, it says the faith of a mustard seed. So when you use these small seeds, you're planting things. And what I want you to understand, what I'm trying to say is that you understand what I want y'all to see. Beej is how you spell B, or bija, bija seed. So I want y'all to look that up and look at these bija seed mantras. And what a mantra is, it's a sound like it's a vibration. You see what I'm trying to get? What I'm trying to get to here is that if you're using these purifying vibrations of mantras that get down, they bypass the conscious mind. Because you got to understand, the conscious mind is what we call a player hater. Conscious mind going to try to block anything new coming in. That's why I say using mantras seem to be better and more effective than using actual affirmations in at least the English language, right? Because a lot of our actual words that we use don't carry certain vibrations, like the Muslim, that was going to be politically incorrect, but let's say Muslim people use when they pray, or let's say Hindu or East Indian folks use when they do their prayer or worship. They words carry different vibrations than our words. You know what I'm saying? That's why they would tell you when you do spells, you try to use it in Latin or something that's not of the English language, because of how fucked up our language is, right? So you want to tap into these Beedramandas. They're called primal sounds. These are primal sounds. So when you hear that's a sound of the universe. And we're not going to get connected to what that is connected to. I think it's Christian, but and what these gods and goddesses, or whatever you want to call them, that's just like a better term. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you know it's all you anyway. Using these sounds to actually penetrate and bypass the conscious mind to get right to the subtle levels, because these mantras are actually used to actually remove things. And that's what I was talking about with the moon, or not even just remove things or bring things to the forefront, bring it to the subconscious mind, clear shit out and bring it to the forefront. And when I say the forefront, back into the material realm, right? And you definitely need to tap into and see what these bija mantras are and do more research on them. But there are certain ones I'll be using during this 2-3 minute eclipse, because in a book, Agora, it talks about like what the guru actually speaks, right? And the guru actually spoke to his student, and this is what he told him. He was like, he was breaking down about how they use the eclipse in their favor, just on some physical shit, right? And then he gets into breaking it down. He says, we explain it on the basis of how do you explain this eclipse, and how scientists would explain it. He was like, I don't know how the fuck they explain it, but we see things on a different level. And he said, eclipses are excellent for people like you and me, because there is a gravitational effect which multiplies our sadhana. And sadhana is basically a spiritual practice, a ego transcending spiritual practice. That's all it means. And that's basically what I'm talking about with Tawa Shuddhi. Is all about purifying the ego. There are certain elements that keep you locked in Prakriti, the creatrix, or Maya, the matrix. And it's just built up this way. And those who actually on a spiritual journey, is when they say do the work, do shadow work, this is part of that actual thing. I see that the Vedics actually have it down to a very, very good science. And if you actually look into a lot of these occult books, a lot of these shit come from they shit. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Travis Mages, because I was already reading this book just on my own, and I got to learn about the 3 gunas. And then I went to sleep one night, woke up the next morning and had a dream about it. But this nigga had dropped a 5-6 hour video. So I've been rocking with him lately. So I'm definitely gonna give a credit to what a credit is due. But as you can see, a nigga putting in the work like we all supposed to be doing, right? And it says, during the eclipse, if you do 100 repetitions of your mantra during an eclipse, it's like doing 100,000 repetitions on an ordinary day. And if you know anything about these mantras, they tell you to repeat it a certain amount of times. I'm not going to go into why they say time. You do it this 108 times or 1,008 times, or why. We're not going to go into that. You can do that on your own research, right? And he talks about how obviously they would do certain rituals or celebration during those times. And he's like, well, hey, when the common folks celebrate, it's because these festivals, they don't know anything about these doctrines and what the real esoteric meaning behind it. They just get average everyday people, and they just want to do the celebration for their deity or their god or whatever it is. But they may not have the actual information like people like us, the esoteric. I want to use the right word. People who study the esoteric version of all these spiritual systems around the world. They don't have the real meaning behind it, but still participate in it, though, right? So that's what we want to use when we're dealing with the eclipse, right? Because we're talking about ego purifying. We're talking about removing things. You see, I got Lord Ganesh back there. He removes obstacles. Lord Ganesh is a deity or energy dedicated to removing obstacles. So if you having any blockages as far as your spiritual journey is going, or anything, even on a mundane level, blockages with how you get money, how you handle money, they have mantras for them. And I'm reading a book called Mantric Yoga and Primal Sound. Shout out to Travis Mages again. He gave this one out. And gotta salute that guy right there. So, and it gives breakdowns of how to pronounce these. They break it down to the point of like how important it is to actually pronounce. How to pronounce these actual words. You got using vowels and consonants and all this type of shit that you actually want to make sure you pronounce it right, and then your intention behind it is actually true. It wouldn't matter if it's the most mundane shit. I advise not to do the most mundane shit you can think of. You know what I'm saying? You can work on that on any other time, but this the eclipse where it's a lot of powerful energy that's tapping into removing. And I'm saying that based off what my friend who actually studies astrology, right? But like I said, it works for me because I'm practicing sadhana, right? Which is the purification of the ego, a transcending practice for transcending the ego. So if we're going to get past the ego, we got to actually do the transcending practice, right? And like I said, I already told y'all what version of the ego that I'm talking about, right? It's not that I think I'm better than somebody type of ego. It's the I like and I don't like. I identify as this, I don't identify as that. And then you got the 5 senses that actually play its part into having your ego. Because how do you get the I don't like and I do like, right? You have to use your 5 senses. I don't like that smell. I don't like that touch. I don't like that feeling. Or I don't like what I see, or I do like what I see. You see what I'm saying? So your 5 senses are a part of the ego. So we purifying these. We smoothing the edges. We shaving on some edges. You see what I'm saying? And get this shit as smooth as possible, because you ain't gonna be able to escape it on the physical realm. But the goal is to release as much possible of attachments that you can release. That's the tip we on, right? So, like I said, and they speak on how you gotta make sure you know what you're doing. Because it says these mantras grant our wishes, but also connects us with the corresponding karma. So when we look at karma, we understand karma on the level of cause and effect. So you have a cause, whatever the cause may be, and then an effect follows. So if you asking for some shit or doing mantras for certain shit, you got to understand the effect comes with it, and whatever else comes with it. It's going to be effect, because the universal principle is cause and effect. For every cause, there is an effect. For every effect, there has to be a cause. Any cause where it's not recognized is just a lack of, what the book say? Any effect or cause not recognized is just a lack of the understanding of the law. Or you just didn't pay attention. So the things that come along with it. So you want to make sure that you're on your shit when you're learning these mantras. That's why I want to give it a couple of days ahead, because you can YouTube and you can Google. You can do your research by the 8th. Today is Easter, or Ishtar Day. You know what I'm saying? For the divine feminine energy. And you want to tap into and learn some of these Bija mantras, these seed mantras, because they are just like the root word of these main mantras of these main deities. When you look into the Vedic system, look at these deities, these sounds, how you pronounce their name actually line up with the unmanifest reality, or higher realities, or higher spiritual world realms, right? Universal sounds. You know, when the Bible said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and then let there be light. You see what I'm saying? There is actual vibrational sounds for that. Like, even in the Jewish mystic system, or the using Hebrew letters, if you understand how that shit actually works, it's based on sounds, how they pronounce these words. And you know how, you know what I'm saying, when you hear them do that, they talk from like back here. They using different glands than we even use when we speak English. Same thing in the Vedic system. I don't even want to try to imitate, but it's these sounds that we use. So it's less about the actual word and more about the sound when you're dealing with these mantras. Because that's what I said. It's not about the conscious mind. It's not about the conscious mind, it's about the subconscious mind. That's what you're trying to program. Because if you understand the subconscious mind, that's actually what's programming your reality. And it's not thinking in terms of is this right or is this wrong? No. If you say I'm thinking this, then okay, that's what we thinking. Or you say I'm doing this, okay, that's what we doing. And it's rocking with that. So when you actually doing affirmations, that's what you're trying to do. You're doing the repetitious act. Because all this shit is about programming, right? All this shit is about programming. You know, program something you have to repetitively do it. So when you're dealing with these mantras, you want to repeatedly, obviously, you know, you know, you want to keep repeating these certain sounds and vibrations. Because when you say that certain word, you feel the vibration, especially om. When you say om, you feel the vibration. So, with that being said, that's what I'll be doing. Like I said, all right, we got the eclipse coming up. The sun represents the conscious mind. The moon represents the subconscious mind. And we understand the subconscious mind programs our very reality. The mind is our universe is mental. It comes from the subconscious mind. That's what the heaven, or that's what the universe is, the subconscious mind. So how do we program the subconscious mind? We speak its language. What is its language? Vibration, sound. And what's the most easy attainable way or sound to use that's already been broke down to a science and went through trial and error? These mantras of the Vedic system, and specifically I'm using bija mantras, right? They're called bija because it's a seed mantra, right? It's the smallest thing. You just plant this small thing and it grows with repetition and intention behind it and meaning behind it. It's actually less about what the word means and the sound, the actual sound. So these sounds are actually on the frequency for whatever you're trying to manifest. The universe has a sound. Trees have a sound when they grow. You don't know that. Water has a sound. Bees have a sound. The human heart has a sound. You get where I'm going with this? Each chakra has a sound that it resonates with. So that's what we're going to do. And like I said, during this time, like I said, like I read in here, one of the yogi teachers spoke about how during the eclipse, the effect of your mantras is actually magnetized times 1,000. I mean, I think I'm over exaggerating. I'm barely paraphrasing there, but it's magnified. And that's good. And it makes sense because the subconscious mind is going to be the moon, which is the subconscious mind, is going to be in front of the conscious mind. So if you work on adding or using these sounds to your subconscious mind at this time, you only got a couple minutes, 2-3 minutes. Instead of being out there like, ooh, look at it, I got my glasses on, look at it. Use this shit to your advancement, man. This is what I'll be doing. Hopefully y'all can do the same thing or something so close to similar. And you know what we working on? We working on purifying that motherfucking ego, getting that motherfucker in check the best we can. It's the God.